everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Śrīla Prabhupada's books right here in the live studios in Hythe, southeast England, on the coast of the English Channel, otherwise called the Haven. Today I have a report. Today I went for a echocardiogram, referred to from my GP upon a request from the surgeon who did the surgery, because my heartbeat went way high during the surgery. But you'll be happy to know that my cardiogram was normal, and the NHS system is working, at least for me, and I'm very happy. Okay. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada, he was happy with the Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. As a matter of fact, it was his life and soul. So he said, he had this to say, this poetic glorification about Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. He said, in due course, Mahapralaya, devastating floods, will inundate the entire universe. If you attempt to survive by swimming in that deluge, then do not neglect to take hold of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. Or, if you cannot hold all three, then release Bhagavad Gita. If necessary, you may also relinquish Srimad Bhagavatam. But under no circumstances release your hold on Sri Caitanya-caritämrta. For if this one book remains, then the flood can do no actual damage, because after the flood has subsided, the message of Shastra can be revived from Sri Caitanya-caritämrta alone, it being the essence of all Shastra. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavinda. So, here we are in the Antya-līlā, my favorite part of all of Śrīla Prabhupada's books. Rūpa Gosvāmī, when the Antya-līlā, chapter 1, Rūpa Gosvāmī has arrived and has been blessed by all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, and that's where we come into the reading at text 72, chapter 1, Antya-līlā. During the Rath Yatra ceremony, Rūpa Gosvāmī saw Lord Jagannath. He also saw Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dancing and chanting in front of the Rath. 73. When Rūpa Gosvāmī heard a verse uttered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during the ceremony, he immediately composed another verse dealing with the same subject. 74. I have already described all these incidents, but I still wish to add briefly something more. 75. Generally, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited a verse while dancing and chanting before the Rath, but no one knew why he was reciting that particular verse. 676. Only Sarup Damodar Goswami knew the purpose for which the Lord chanted that verse. According to the Lord's attitude, he used to quote other verses to enable the Lord to relish mellows. 77. Rūpa Gosvāmī, however, could understand the intention of the Lord, and thus he composed another verse that appealed to Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Now this is the verse that Lord Chaitanya was chanting. That very personality who stole my heart during my youth is now again my master. These are the same moonlit nights of the month of Chaitra. The same fragrance of malati flowers is there, and the same sweet breezes are blowing from the Kadamba forest. In our intimate relationship, I am also the same lover, yet still my mind is not happy here. I am eager to go back to that place on the bank of the Reva, under the Vetasi tree. That is my desire. Purport, this is the verse recited by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. 79. My dear friend, now I have met my very old and dear friend Krishna on this field of Kurukshetra. I am the same Radharani, and now we are meeting together. It is very pleasant, but I would still like to go to the bank of the Yamuna, beneath the trees of the forest there. I wish to hear the vibration of his sweet flute playing the fifth note within that forest of Vrindavan. Purport. This is the verse composed by Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī. It is included in the Padyavali 387, an anthology of verses he compiled. Text 80. After writing this verse on a palm leaf, Rūpa Gosvāmī put it somewhere in his thatched roof and went to bathe in the sea. 81. At that time Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu went there to meet him, and when he saw the leaf pushed into the roof and saw the verse, he began to read it. After reading the verse, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu was overwhelmed by ecstatic love. At that very time, Rūpa Gosvāmī returned, having finished bathing in the sea. 83. Seeing the Lord, Sri Rūpa Gosvāmī fell flat in the courtyard to offer obeisances. The Lord slapped him mildly in love and spoke as follows. My heart is very confidential. How did you know my mind in this way? After saying this, he firmly embraced Rūpa Gosvāmī. 85. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu took that verse and showed it to Swarup Damodar for him to examine. Then the Lord questioned him. 86. How could Rūpa Gosvāmī have understood my heart? The Lord asked. Swarup Damodar replied, I can understand that you have already bestowed your causeless mercy upon him. 87. No one could otherwise understand this meaning. I can therefore guess that previously you bestowed upon him your causeless mercy. 88. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu replied, Rūpa Gosvāmī met me at Prayag. Knowing him to be a suitable person, I naturally bestowed my mercy upon him. 89. I thereupon also bestowed upon him my transcendental potency. Now you also should give him instructions. In particular, instruct him in transcendental mellows. Text 90. Swarup Damodar replied, Swarup Damodar said, as soon as I saw the unique composition of this verse, I could immediately understand that you had bestowed upon him your special mercy. 91. By seeing a result, one can understand the cause of that result. Purport. This is a verse from the Doctrines of Nyaya, or Logic. 92. The river Ganges, flowing in the heavenly planets, is full of golden lotus flowers, and we, the residents of those planets, eat the stems of the flowers. Thus we are very beautiful, more so than the inhabitants of any other planet. This is due to the law of cause and effect. For if one eats food in the mode of goodness, the mode of goodness increases the luster of his body. Purport. One's bodily luster and beauty, one's constitution, one's activities, and one's qualities all depend on the law of cause and effect. There are three qualities in material nature, and as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 13:22, Karanam gunasangosya sarasad yoni janmasu. One takes birth in a good or bad family according to his previous association with the qualities of material nature. Therefore, one seriously eager to achieve transcendental perfection, Krishna consciousness, must eat Krishna prasadam. Such food is sattvika, or in the material quality of goodness, but when offered to Krishna, it becomes transcendental. Our Krishna consciousness movement distributes Krishna prasadam, and those who eat such transcendental food are sure to become devotees of the Lord. This is a very scientific method, as stated in this verse from Nala Naishada 3:17, Karyam nidhadat digunan adite. If in all his activities a person strictly adheres to the mode of goodness, he will certainly develop his dormant Krishna consciousness and ultimately become a pure devotee of Lord Krishna. Unfortunately, at the present moment, the bodily constitutions of the leaders of society, especially the governmental leaders, are polluted. There's an eternal truth for the Kali Yuga. As described in Srimad Bhagavatam 12:140, asam prita kriyahina rajasa tamasa vritaha prajaste bhakshayishyanti mlecha rajanya rupinaha. Such leaders have no chance to purify their eating. Politicians meet together and exchange good wishes by drinking liquor, which is so polluted and sinful that naturally drunkards and meat-eaters develop a degraded mentality in the mode of ignorance. The processes of eating in different modes are explained in the Bhagavad Gita, wherein it is stated that those who eat rice, wheat, vegetables, milk products, fruit, and sugar are situated in the elevated quality of goodness. Therefore, if we want a happy and tranquil political situation, we must select leaders who eat Krishna prasadam. There you go, Prabhupada giving the solution to all problems. Get the leaders to eat Krishna prasadam. Otherwise, the leaders will eat meat and drink wine, and thus they will be asangskrita, unreformed, and kriyahina, devoid of spiritual behavior. In other words, they will be mlechas and yavanas, or men who are unclean in their habits. Through taxation, such men exploit the citizens as much as possible, and in this way they devour the citizens of the state instead of benefiting them. We therefore cannot expect the government to be efficient if it is headed by such unclean mlechas and yavanas. Text 93. After the 4 months of Chaturmasya, Shravana, Bhadra, Ashwina, and Kartik, all the Vaishnavas of Bengal returned to their homes. But Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī remained in Jagannath Puri under the shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 94. One day while Rūpa Gosvāmī was writing his book, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu suddenly appeared. 95. As soon as Haridas Thakur and Rūpa Gosvāmī saw the Lord coming, they both stood up and then fell down to offer him their respectful obeisances. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced them both and then sat down. 96. The Lord inquired, "What kind of book are you writing?" He held up a palm leaf that was a page of the manuscript, and when he saw the fine handwriting, his mind was very pleased. Thus being pleased, the Lord praised the writing by saying, "The handwriting of Rūpa Gosvāmī is just like rows of pearls." Text 98. While reading the manuscript, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw a verse on that page, and as soon as he read it, he was overwhelmed by ecstatic love. I do not know how much nectar the two syllables Krishna have produced. When the holy name of Krishna is chanted, it appears to dance within the mouth. We then desire many, many mouths. When that name enters the holes of the ears, we desire many millions of ears. And when the holy name dances in the courtyard of the heart, it conquers the activities of the mind, and therefore all the senses become inert. Purport. This verse is included in the Vidagdha Madhava 115, a 7-act play written by Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī describing the pastimes of Sri Krishna in Vrindavan. Text 100. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted this verse, Haridas Thakur, upon hearing the vibration, became jubilant and began to dance while praising its meaning. 101. One has to learn about the beauty and transcendental position of the holy name of the Lord by hearing the revealed scriptures from the mouths of devotees. Nowhere else can we hear of the sweetness of the Lord's holy name. It is said in the Padma Purana, Atak Shri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grayam indriyai. Chanting and hearing of the transcendental holy name of the Lord cannot be performed by the ordinary senses. The transcendental vibration of the Lord's holy name is completely spiritual. Thus it must be received from spiritual sources and must be chanted after having been heard from a spiritual master. One who hears the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra must receive it from the spiritual master by oral reception. Srila Sanatana Goswami has forbidden us to hear the holy name of Krishna chanted by non-Vaishnavas, such as professional actors and singers, for it will have no effect. It is like milk touched by the lips of a serpent, as stated in the Padma Purana, Vaishnava Mukod Girnam Putam Caitanya-caritämrtam Shravanam Naiva Kartavyam Sarpochishtam Yatha Payaha. As far as possible, therefore, the devotees in the Krishna consciousness movement gather to chant the holy name of Krishna in public, so that both the chanters and the listeners may benefit. Text 102. Thus Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced Haridas and Rūpa Gosvāmī and left for the seaside to perform his noontime duties. On the next day, after visiting the temple of Jagannath as usual, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Ramananda Roy, and Swarup Damodar. They all went together to Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī, and on the way, the Lord greatly praised his qualities. 105. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited the two important verses, he felt great pleasure. Thus, as if he had 5 mouths, he began to praise his devotee. Purport. The two verses referred to are those beginning with Priyak Soyam, 79, and Tunde Tandavini, 99. Text 106. Just examine Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Just to examine Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Ramananda Roy, the Lord began to praise the transcendental qualities of Sri Rupa Goswami before them. 107. Characteristically, the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not take seriously an offense committed by a pure devotee. The Lord accepts whatever small service a devotee renders as being such a great service that he is prepared to give even himself, what to speak of other benedictions. 108. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as Purushottama, the greatest of all persons, has a pure mind. He is so gentle that even if his servant is implicated in a great offense, he does not take it very seriously. Indeed, if his servant renders some small service, the Lord accepts it as being very great. Even if an envious person blasphemes the Lord never manifests anger against him. Such are his great qualities. Purport. This verse is from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 138 by Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī. Text 109. When Haridas Thakur and Rupa Goswami saw that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had come with his intimate devotees, they both immediately fell down like logs and offered prayers to their lotus feet. 110. Thus Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his personal devotees met Rupa Goswami and Haridas Thakur. Then the Lord sat down in an elevated place with his devotees. 111. Rupa Goswami and Haridas Thakur sat at the foot of the elevated place where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was sitting. Although everyone else asked them to sit on the same level as the Lord and his associates, they did not do so. 112. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered Rupa Goswami to read the verse they had previously heard, Rupa Goswami, because of great shyness, did not read it, but instead remained silent. 113. Then Swarup Damodar Goswami recited the verse, and when all the devotees heard it, their minds were struck with wonder. Priyak soyam Krishna sahachari chetra militas tataham sa radha tadidam ubayor sangamasukam tatapyantak kelan madura murali panchamajushe mano me kalindi pulina vipinaya spurayati. My dear friend, now I have met my very old and dear friend Krishna on this field of Kurukshetra. I am the same Radharani, and now we are meeting together. It is very pleasant, but I would still like to go to the bank of the Yamuna, beneath the trees of the forest there. I wish to hear the vibration of his sweet flute playing the fifth note within that forest of Vrindavan. 115. After hearing this verse, Ramananda Roy and Sarvabhauma, excuse me, Hare Krishna. After hearing this verse, Ramananda Roy and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, "Without your special mercy, how could this Rūpa Gosvāmī have understood your mind?" 116. Srila Ramananda Roy said, "Previously you empowered my heart so I could express elevated and conclusive statements to which even Lord Brahma has no access." 117. Had you not previously bestowed your mercy on Rūpa Gosvāmī, Ramananda Roy continued, it would not have been possible for him to express your internal feelings. Purport. Devotees acknowledge Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's special mercy on Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī in the following words: Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rūpa Kadamayam Dadati Vaswapadantikam. When will Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī Prabhupada, who is established within this material world, his mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? The special function of Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī is to establish the feelings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. These feelings are his desires that his special mercy be spread throughout the world in this Kali Yuga. Pritibhiti ache yatta nagarigram sarvatra prachara hoibe morinam. The desire of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is that all over the world, everyone, in every village and every town, know of him and his Sankirtan movement. These are the inner feelings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Rūpa Gosvāmī committed to writing all these feelings of the Lord. Now again, by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the same feelings are being spread all over the world by the servants of the Goswāmis. The devotees who are pure and simple will appreciate this attempt. As concluded by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, however, those who are on the level of hogs and dogs will never appreciate such a great attempt. Yet this does not matter to the preachers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cult, for all over the world they will continue to perform this responsible work even though persons who are like cats and dogs do not appreciate them. Text 118. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "My dear Rūpa, please recite that verse from your drama, which upon being heard makes all people's unhappiness and lamentation go away." When the Lord persisted in asking this again and again, Rūpa Gosvāmī recited that verse as follows: Tunde tan divini ratim vitunate tundavali labhaye karna krodha kadambini katayate karnarbude yakspriham chetak prangana sangini vijayate sarvendriyanam kritim no jane janita kriyad bir amritai krishneti varna dvaye. I do not know how much nectar the two syllables Krishna have produced. When the holy name of Krishna is chanted, it appears to dance within the mouth. Then we desire many mouths. When that name enters the holes of the ears, we desire many millions of ears. And when the holy name dances in the courtyard of the heart, it conquers the activities of the mind, and therefore all the senses become inert. 121. When all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, especially Sri Ramananda Roy, heard this verse, they were all filled with transcendental bliss and were struck with wonder. 122. Everyone admitted that although they had heard many statements glorifying the holy name of the Lord, they had never heard such sweet descriptions as those of Rūpa Gosvāmī. Hare Krishna, Ji, Rūpa Gosvāmī ki jai. 123. Ramananda Roy inquired, "What kind of drama are you writing?" We can understand. It is a mine of conclusive statements. 124. Sarup Damodar replied for Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī. He wanted to compose a drama about the pastimes of Lord Krishna. He planned to describe in one book both the pastimes of Vrindavan and those of Dwaraka and Mathura. 125. He began it in that way, but now, following the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has divided it into two and is writing two plays, one concerning the pastimes of Mathura and Dwaraka, and the other concerning the pastimes of Vrindavan. 126. The two plays are called Bidagdha Madhava and Lalita Madhava. Both of them wonderfully describe ecstatic, emotional love of God. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur informs us in this connection that Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī finished the drama known as Vidagdha Madhava in the year Shakabda 1454, AD 1532, and the Lalita Madhava in Shakabda 1494, AD 1537. The discussion between Ramananda Roy and Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī at Jagannath Puri took place in Shakabda 1437, AD 1515. Man. 22 years ago, before. Oh. 127. Ramananda Roy said, "Please recite the introductory verse of the Vidagdha Madhava so that I can hear and examine it." Thus, Sri Rūpa Gosvāmī, being ordered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, recited the verse 1:1. May the pastimes of Sri Krishna reduce the miseries existing in the material world and nullify all unwanted desires. The pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are like shikarini, a blend of yogurt and sugar candy. They overpower the pride of even the nectar produced on the moon, for they distribute the sweet fragrance of the concentrated loving affairs of Srimati Radharani and the gopis. 129. Ramananda Roy said, "Now please recite the description of the glories of your worshipable deity." Rūpa Gosvāmī, however, hesitated due to embarrassment because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was present. 130. The Lord, however, encouraged Rūpa Gosvāmī, saying, "Why are you embarrassed? You should recite it so the devotees can hear the good fruit of your writing." 131. When Rūpa Gosvāmī thus recited his verse, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disapproved of it because it described his personal glories. He expressed the opinion that it was an exaggerated explanation. Anarpitat chidim chidat karunaya patirna kalo samarpayitum unatojvala rasam subhakti triyam hari puratasundara jutikadam pasandi pita sada ridaye kandare spuratu va sachinandana. May the Supreme Lord, who is known as the son of Srimati Shachi Devi, be transcendently situated in the innermost core of your heart. Resplendent with the radiance of molten gold, he has descended in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation has ever offered before, the most elevated mellow of devotional service, the mellow of conjugal love. Purport. This verse, Vidagdha Madhava 1:2, also appears in the Antya-līlā 1:4 and 3:4. In his commentary on the Vidagdha Madhava, Śrīla Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur remarks, Mahaprabho spurtim bina hari-līlā rasasva dana nu papater iti bhavaha. Without the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, without the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one cannot describe the pastimes of the personality, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī said, Vo yushmakam hridaya rupa gahayam Sachinandano Hari Pakshe Singhas Puratu. May Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is exactly like a lion that kills all the elephants of desire, be awakened within everyone's heart. For by his merciful blessings, one can understand the transcendental pastimes of Krishna. All the devotees present so greatly appreciated this verse that they expressed their gratitude to Sri Rūpa Gosvāmī for his transcendental recitation. 134. Ramananda Roy inquired, how have you introduced the assembly of the players? Rūpa Gosvāmī replied, the players assemble at a suitable time under the heading of Pravartaka. Purport. In a drama, all the actors are called patra, or players. This is stated by Vishwanath Kaviraj in the Sahitya Darpana 6-283. Divya Martye Satad Rupo Mishram Anyataras Taro Ho Shuchayet Vastubijam Vamukam Patram Atapiva. The meaning of Amukha is stated by Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī in the Nataka Chandrika. Sutra Dado Nati Bhute Swakaryam Pratiyuktitaha Prastutak Chipi Chitrokya Tad Yat Tad Amukam Iritam. When Srila Ramananda Roy inquired about the arrangement for introducing the assembly of players in the drama, Rūpa Gosvāmī replied that when the players first enter the stage in response to the time, the introduction is technically called Pravartaka. For an example, Sri verse 136 below, that's two more verses. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that the introduction, which is technically called Amukha, maybe of 5 different kinds, according to the Sahitya-darpana 6-88. Udgatyaka katodgata prayogata shishashtata. Pravarta kanbaligite balagite pancha prastavana bidaha. Introductions may be classified as follows. 1. Udgatyaka. 2. Katodagata. 3. Prayogatishaya. 4. Pravartaka. And 5. Avalagita. These 5 kinds of introduction are called amukha. Thus, Śrīla Ramananda Roy asked which of the 5 introductions had been employed, and Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī replied that he had used the introduction called Pravartaka. (135) When the entrance of the actors is set in motion by the arrival of a suitable time, the entrance is called Pravartaka. Purport. This verse is from Nataka-chandrika 12 by Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī. Springtime had arrived, and the full moon of that season inspired the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is complete in everything, with new attraction, to meet the beautiful Srimati Radharani at night to increase the beauty of their pastimes. Purport. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur interprets this verse, Vidagdha Madhava 110, in 2 ways, for Lord Krishna and for Srimati Radharani. When interpreted for Krishna, the night is understood to have been a dark moon night, and when interpreted for Srimati Radharani, it is considered to have been a full moon night. Text 137. Ramananda Roy said, please recite the prarochana portion so that I may hear and examine it. Sri Rupa replied, I think that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire to hear is prarochana. Purport. The method of inducing the audience to become more and more eager to hear by praising the time and place, the hero, and the audience is called prarochana. This is the statement regarding prarochana in the Nataka-chandrika. Desha kala kata vastu sabhyadinam prashangshaya shotrinam unmukhi kada katiteyam prarochana. Similarly, the Sahitya-darpana 6-86 says, Tasya prarochana viti tata prahasana mukhe angan yatron mukhi kara prashangshata prarochana. Any literature presented in Sanskrit must follow the rules and regulations mentioned in the authoritative reference books. The technical inquiries by Srila Ramananda Roy and the replies of Srila Rūpa Gosvāmī indicate that both of them were expert and fully conversant with the techniques of writing drama. So I'm going to stop here. We're after 8 o'clock. And this is all very, very beautiful. It's technical, and we may not be able to understand very deeply what the words mean and the implications of it all. But if we just keep hearing this with affection and deep, deep respect and appreciation, then gradually things will be revealed to us that we wouldn't be able to understand in any other way. So as Prabhupada would say, just go on hearing, just go on hearing. Hare Krishna. The quality of the sound of these descriptions is so sweet and so fascinating that it should draw us in to the thoughts. What does that mean? I want to know what that means. I want to know what that means. And then go back over it. Study it. Try to understand. Lord Chaitanya is all merciful. None of us will become, maybe a few, but very few will become scholars in drama, writing Sanskrit drama and all the intricate rules and regulations and subtleties of writing these literatures. But we can appreciate by hearing these are the topmost personalities in the material and spiritual worlds discussing these things. We should never feel that we are useless or we'll never understand or whatever. We should just appreciate them. Don't think about yourself and how unqualified you are and unfortunate you are. That's not bad, but it's much more elevated to glorify the personalities who are discussing these elevated subject matters. Hare Krishna. That is Krishna's mercy, to teach us who we are on all levels. Okay, let's see if any of you were bold enough to have a reflection on this section of Caitanya-caritämrta. Hare Krishna.
Something from Bhakta Ben.
Haribol Bhakta Ben. I hope the marathon's going good.
It's a Sankirtan story.
A Sankirtan story. Just what we needed to hear.
He says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, I have an interesting Sankirtan story from today, if you'd like to hear.
I'd love to hear.
I got to my Sankirtan spot. So I'll read it from here, it'll be easier. I got to my Sankirtan spot this morning. It was raining, so before I started I went to the bathroom in a coffee shop. I returned to the spot and a dodgy fake charity man was there on his phone. We have different shady characters on the streets in the UK that get money out of people under the pretense of some kind of vague and unofficial charity. I began to work and he ran up on me very aggressively and threateningly, saying that this was his spot and he was here first and that I should leave. I stood my ground, immediately praying to Lord Nrsingadev. I noticed that the defender in me had awoken and I felt agitated and ready for action. I defended my right to be there, explaining it was the only sheltered spot in town. My false ego even jabbed back at him with intelligent but cutting words, insinuating that he was breaking the law and scamming people. His false ego flared back and he became agitated, but he knew he wouldn't be able to move me, so we both began working the same spot. I was trying my best to detach from the result, but I couldn't help noticing that he was absolutely cleaning up. Nonetheless, he was visibly very agitated by my presence. He was even telling those who stopped for him not to give anything to me, as I had stolen his spot. I continued working, praying, and constantly consulting the Bhagavad Gita for solace. After 3 hours of competition, With the dodgy charity man, the rain stopped. I consulted the Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna was explaining how he is in control of the rain. I remember what you had said in your answer yesterday about seeing everyone as a devotee, and I realized I had not been very kind to the man. I decided to try to resolve my egoistic harshness and approached him humbly. I apologized for the way I had acted with him. I apologized for stealing his spot and explained I was a monk trying to help people. His aggressive front began to melt a little, and I passed him a Bhagavad Gita. I told him it was a very, very special and sacred book from India, and that I wanted him to have it. He seemed slightly regretful for his aggression, and he even sheepishly gave me a donation, and thanked me in a taken-aback kind of way. I let him have the spot and began working in a different part of town where Krishna opened the floodgates, and I immediately began distributing the books in my trolley. I noticed that he started getting smashed, and he left within an hour. It was a very nice lesson all around from Krishna. He revealed how he is in control of the results of both devotees' scores as well as shady charity men's scores. I got to practice tolerance and detachment. I also was able to witness my nature react to being threatened, and then rectified it in the best way possible. Thanks for your advice yesterday. Your servant, Bhakta Ben.
Jai Bhakta Ben. This is called Brahma Tejas. It is the most powerful energy, and it consists of forgiveness and tolerance. It's the strongest energy. It can even defeat the Kshatriya mode, the passionate experts at warfare. Thank you very much for that wonderful lesson you gave us. That's the result of reading these books. If you're actually reading these books and assimilating them, then wherever you are, whatever you're doing. I went to the doctor today, and there was a receptionist there, and I said, Hare Krishna, and she said, what does that mean? Just like that. And then I just explained to her, the word Krishna is a Sanskrit word, and if you trace the history of the word, it's the oldest language, Sanskrit. And if you trace the history of the word, you come from Krishna, Sanskrit, to Christo, Greek, to Krista, Aramaic, and to Christ, English. And she says, oh, that's very interesting. Hare Krishna, she said again. And then when I left, there was another lady in the back. And so when I left, I said, okay, Hare Krishna. And the first one said, Hare Krishna. The other one said, I'm sorry, I can't say that because it's against my religion. And I told her that actually there can only be one God. And you're sitting in a chair, and it's called a chair in English, and it's called a silla in Spanish. Does it mean that they're two different things? The same thing, just a different name. And she smiled. She didn't say anything. She wouldn't say the name, but she smiled. I could see that she understood something. So people have to be fortunate to be able to hear, and we get fortune to be able to hear by taking Krishna Prasadam, as we already heard in this session, reading session, and associating with great souls like Rūpa Gosvāmī and Ramananda Roy and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Sri Damodar, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna.
Reflections, but there are some greetings.
Okay, let's hear some greetings and then we can go, because we started late and it's already late.
From Gopakanya, she says, Jai Maharaj, Hare Krishna. Really happy to know that you are doing well. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupada.
Well, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Rati Manjari says, Jai Guru Maharaj, saving my day again and again. Oh, there's something from Rati also that just came up.
Okay.
She says, Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you for connecting us with this elevated transcendental platform, hearing about the Lord and His dealings with His pure devotees. Tonight I love to hear especially how Lord Chaitanya does not mind any small mistake of a pure devotee, but magnifies the good qualities of His servant. I was wondering, is this due to the merciful nature of the Lord, or does this count only for a pure devotee?
I don't understand the question exactly. Repeat it again.
Tonight I love to hear especially how Lord Chaitanya does not mind any small mistake of a pure devotee, but magnifies the good qualities of His servant. I was wondering, is this due to the merciful nature of the Lord, or does this count only for a pure devotee?
Or does this count only for a pure devotee? It's both. It's the merciful nature of the Lord is brought out by the quality of the devotee's devotion. Yayata mam prapadyante tangstataiva bhajamyaham mamavart manuvartante manusha partisarvashaha. So here Krishna says that as they approach me, I reward everyone accordingly. Everyone accordingly. So everyone follows my path in all respects. So Lord Chaitanya's mercy is unlimited, and it's flowing to everyone, especially the most fallen. So if we start to discriminate only pure devotees, this is for, then we're not understanding Lord Chaitanya. Because Lord Chaitanya's mercy flows naturally down to the most fallen. So even if you think you're the most fallen, and if you're not eligible for His mercy, then you should think again and hear what Lord Chaitanya said, and what Krishnadas Kaviraj Gosvāmī says, and all the other elevated devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Yes, Lord Chaitanya's mercy flows to the most fallen. But the pure devotees of the Lord, they feel themselves the most fallen. And sometimes the most fallen feel themselves the most elevated. So you can use your intelligence to figure out where the mercy of the Lord flows. Because it is a fact that Lord Chaitanya gave His special mercy to Rūpa Gosvāmī because he was so qualified. But his qualification was what? His humility. Do you remember when he met him and went over to Balabhadava's house? And Lord Chaitanya said, "Don't touch me, I am too fallen. You are an elevated Brahmana, and I am just a fallen, low-born person." So Lord Chaitanya gave His mercy to Lord Chaitanya. He also gave it to Balabhadra, but in a different way. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Rati Manjari says, Jai, that is hopeful. Transcendental love is so intricate. Thank you for explaining it to us again and again. And there's a brief question from Braj Vallabha.
Hare Krishna, Braj Vallabha.
He says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Śrīla Prabhupada. Since we are so covered, how can we, quote, see Lord Chaitanya's mercy in our life?
Well, you know, sometimes somebody is trying to explain it to you, something. And you listen, and you listen, and you listen, And then all of a sudden you say, oh, I see. Right? Oh, I see. So we see through proper understanding. We get proper understanding from knowledge. We just heard this very famous verse today. Abhaya Prabhu and I were reading Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, and we came to this verse, Nahi jnani sadrisham kavitram iya vidyate tat soyam yoga sangsiro kalinatmani vindite. There's nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. And one who has become proficient in devotional service will taste that sweetness in due course of time. So just keep hearing, trying to understand, and all of these things will be revealed to you from within your heart. Hare Krishna.
Rati Manjari says, I also loved how Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī did not want to read his own verse out loud, out of shyness.
Yes. And then it was so funny because Lord Chaitanya insisted, no, you should read it because therefore, and what was the verse? Glorifying your worshipable deity. And he was shy because Lord Chaitanya was his worshipable deity and he was standing there and he was afraid that he would become, uncomfortable. And then as soon as but then he insisted, and then Rupa Goswami quoted it, and Lord Chaitanya said, no, this is just an exaggeration. Even though he's praising him, like he had 5 mouths, and yet when it was praising him, he couldn't hear it. So there, in that way, he's trying to. All of the lessons of how to feel and how to think and will and how to have loving exchanges are given in these loving exchanges between Lord Chaitanya and his eternal associates. That's why this is the most important part of the book. It's the application of the philosophy in our personal dealings with one another. A solution to all of life's problems, individual and collective. Okay, I'm going to stop here. It's almost 8:30. And I haven't been going out very much. I went out today, so need to take some rest. I thank you all very much for everything that you do, for being there, your ears, your receptive ears, because without receptive ears, the recitation is not as nice, not so nice. Śrī Caitanya-caritāmrta ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. See you tomorrow night, same time, same topic, same nectar. Hare Krishna.